actually uploading the archives right now for the 85th episode of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Wow.
And you had walked down because you heard something that I was talking about on my show and asked me to give a call into yours.
Yeah, that's right. You know, you do a terrific show, Daryl, Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. And you also do the FPP Freedom Minute, and we were just listening to that in the minutes before this show.
That was actually FPP Radio News.
Oh,
FPP Freedom Minute. That is a product that I put out, but that was not the newscast that you heard just before this show. The FPP Freedom Minute is the weekly news/commentary cast that I put out.
All right, terrific. Well, you are a super activist. You've got many things going on at any time. You put in a newspaper on a regular basis, the FPP Freedom News newspaper. I don't know. All these names are associated with fpp.cc. So if you go there, you can see all that Daryl does. And you have any trials or anything coming up, Daryl? You're a super activist in that regard as well. You do take the man to court, defend yourself, and that's admirable. Any trials?
I actually do have a trial coming up on July 9th. I have a charge of driving a registered vehicle, and that was a ticket that I got in November of last year.
No way.
I no longer even own the vehicle that I am accused of not registering, and they have also charged me with the horrible offense of being a resident without fulfilling the obligations of a residency.
What obligations do you have as a resident, if you even are one?
Well, they claim that as a resident you are required to get a New Hampshire driver's license.
Oh, I don't know what happened, Daryl. We sort of lost you for a second. Looks like you're going to reconnect with us. Maybe that's a Skype issue. I'm not quite sure. We are connected on a somewhat unsecure line. We're going to try and reconnect with Daryl, and when we get him back, we'll have him on to give his commentary on the Middle East. And it looks like we have you back, Daryl.
Yes, I am back. I don't know what happened. Skype came up and had some message. There's a problem with your call.
Oh, well, that's nice.
That the obligations of residency include but are not limited to getting a New Hampshire driver's license that they claim that all residents are required to obtain. And I maintain that I am not a New Hampshire resident, that I certainly agree that I'm an inhabitant, and the rules that have been put in place by the New Hampshire legislature actually provide for one to be an inhabitant of New Hampshire without actually being a resident of.
Yeah, there is a difference. So, what date is that?
That is July 29th.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting to see if they wind up dropping the residence charge for lack of evidence to be able to prove to the judge beyond a reasonable doubt that I am guilty of the offense that they say I am.
So that's on Tuesday. We also have Rich Paul's trial on Thursday, and if people want to learn more about that, you can go to gofundme.com/GoRichPaul. And I'm hoping to have him on the program later this evening so that he can explain what he's facing. I know you'll be attending that trial as well, Daryl.
Yes, I will. I will be there, and I will once again be live tweeting all that happens during that trial.
Excellent. Oh, I'm so glad. And where can we follow your live tweets?
I will be using the hashtag RichPaul, and you can find me on Twitter at Daryl W. Perry. That's DARRYLWPERRY.
Excellent. I'll be doing my own live tweets as well, and I hope we can get you set up with Hootsuite or something so that those can be reposted to Facebook. Anyway, you've got so much to talk about, Daryl, and I wanted to talk about the horrors that are happening in the Middle East. This is a peace-centric show, and, you know, there's a war happening in the Middle East that no one's really talking about. I mean, people are talking about it, but they're not calling it a war. It's a conflict, there's been an invasion, there are some missiles, there are some children dying. These are the things that I call war, and yet no one's saying the word. Can you tell us what the definition of a terrorist is according to these governments who are warring?
Well, what they are calling terrorist is any able-bodied male I've heard over the age of 12. I've also heard 16 and 18. But basically, any able-bodied male that is of dark complexion that happens to get hit by one of the missiles that have been fired either by the U.S. or possibly the Israeli army. Because that's the latest thing, is the Israeli bombing of Gaza. And most people are only talking about the few missiles that have been fired from the Hamas, which is in Gaza. They're talking about that.
Yeah, I think it's the job of the alternative media. I'm not sure what just happened, if we got cut again, Daryl, but I think it's the job of the alternative media, you and I, of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, and Peace News Now, to be talking about the proportionality of what has happened, the proportional difference between a group of people calling themselves Hamas lobbing a few missiles towards Israel and the disproportional blowback from Israel and the IDF.
But, Derek, and I'm back, by the way, it's not the blowback from Israel. Israel is the one that initiated the launching of explosive things. Hamas responded to the launching of explosive things by launching their own explosive things, and I believe it's only been 3 people in Israel who have actually been killed by fire from Hamas. There have been, however, hundreds of people that have been killed in Gaza, most of those women and children. There have been thousands of people in Gaza who have been seriously injured. Again, most of those women and children. And Israel is defending all of this, saying, well, Hamas is hiding some of their weapons in houses, so therefore that allows us to just blow up any house.
What's the solution, Daryl?
Well, I'll tell you what the solution is not. The solution is not giving more money to the Israeli Defense Force. The solution is not the U.S. Senate passing by unanimous consent a resolution reaffirming their support of Israel's bombing of Gaza. That most definitely is not the solution.
You know, there was an Onion article in the news this week about the solution being to create 3 billion different states, one for each person in the Middle East, and then to have everyone resolve their conflicts peacefully. That was considered a joke. That was considered satire, yet that is the actual solution that I propose. Your thoughts on that, Daryl?
Oh, I fully support that. And I would support having the 7 billion nation-state solution to solving all of the world's problems. That way, every person is a state unto themselves.
I agree. Daryl W. Perry, thanks for being with us. His website.
Thanks for having me on.
Always great to have you, Daryl. His website is fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons. And he puts out amazing material, not just radio, but print as well. Peace News Now. We'll be right back.
Aren't you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Well, stop using their money. There's an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government, and by using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at WeUseCoins.com. That's WeUseCoins.com.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit keenvention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. This year, Rich Paul is our first announced keynote speaker, and more are being announced now at keenvention.info. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this October 31st through November 2nd. You can pre-order your tickets now for just $60 at keenvention.info. Or you can pay with Bitcoin. Visit keenvention.info for more information and to lock in your tickets at the pre-order $60 price for the whole weekend. Visit keenvention.info for more, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info. If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates, no worries. You can listen to LRN.FM from any phone, anywhere. Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked into our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit the Liberty Radio Network when you shop at Amazon via shop.lrn.fm.
Shortly after having sexual intercourse with a prostitute earlier this afternoon, local man Jacob Reynolds told reporters that he never expected the experience would bring him to new heights of emotional and spiritual fulfillment.
I was convinced that having sex with a complete stranger behind my wife's back would leave me feeling drained and empty on the inside, but my self-esteem is through the roof.
Reynolds, who said he paid $150 for a 30-minute block of time, said that his moderate expectations for the encounter were instantly surpassed by what turned out to be a deeply personal sexual communion that transported him to a new plane of emotional intimacy.
I've never felt a stronger sense of spiritual connection. When our bodies met, there was an immediate sense of familiarity and comfort that just washed over me. I think it was the most meaningful experience of my life.
This is the Onion News Network. This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Dial in 443-424-8347. That number spells out high five CIV-DIS, as in civil disobedience. You can also Skype into the program, PeaceNewsNow, or join us on our website, PeaceNewsNow.com/live. We're talking about what's going on in Gaza, the Middle East, Israel. There's a war happening. And if you read any of the papers, you cannot escape this information, though it won't be called a war. But I'm about to show you a video that surfaced just 2 days ago, and it features the Israeli Defense Forces entering Gaza on the night of July 17th. They posted this to their own Facebook page. Let's make sure the video's nice and big so you can see. Now, there is no audio for this video that I'm sharing with you on screen. So you can hear their voices. It says, "Your nation is behind you, and the terrorists from Hamas and Palestine Islam Jihad are ahead of you. I have trust in you and believe in your operations. Go ahead. Good luck. Over and out." That's the radio transmission from Israel. And here you can see like little ants down below following orders, breaking through a fence and rolling through with a tank, which you can see on screen. Not at the moment. Now it's just people. There's the tank. Oh, look, a friendly tank that makes peace happen. And here's the people in their uniforms, their heads smushed like little boxes to conform with their army orders, to obey without question what their generals tell them to do, as they commit acts of terrorism. And here are more tanks invading a land occupied by free people. There's about 7 tanks in a row. Oh, here they go. Oh, the tanks just rolling along. And this is something that, remember, this is not secret video. This is not something that the Israeli Defense Forces are ashamed of. This is something that they've put on their own Facebook page. And if you can believe it, let's take a look at some of the comments down below. This is a window into the world of those who don't really get what peace is about. 27,000 people like this. Almost 10,000 people have shared this. And the top comment appears to be, God bless our boys. Bless Israel. Go Israel, go! We support you. And I believe if Hamas stopped bombing Israel, IDF will stop the attack. So if you want innocent people not to be killed accidentally, then Hamas must stop killing Israelis. What a scary situation. What a scary mindset. If you are living in Palestine, as some of my friends are, some of the friends with whom I went to college live in Palestine, are Palestinian by heritage, and are in danger right now because of people who are throwing missiles and bombs and other war devices from Israel. It's happening on both sides, yes, but on one side there's Hamas, right, which does not represent the people, and on the other side there's the Israeli government, which also doesn't represent the people, right? So, but is much bigger and generally has more support than Hamas. So they're different organizations. They are at war, and unfortunately, as in all wars, the casualties happen regardless of whether or not the people living there actually support what's happening. It's just tragic, and I would hope that people could stop their support of violent invasions. Like, the cycle of violence has to end somewhere, no matter if you believe you're justified in rolling tanks through and kicking people out of their homes. Look into your conscience, ask if it's right or wrong, not the orders of your officers, and please, 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 listen to your conscience and obey that tyrant deep within. We'll have some more news from what's happening in Gaza. This is just, I've just given a brief overview, but here from the New York Times, author Tyler Hicks, writes from Gaza City. My day here began at 6 a.m. Photographing something as unpredictable as war still has a routine. It is important to be out the door at first light to document the destruction of the day of last night's bombings. By mid-morning, I check in at the hospital's morgue to see if families have come to pick up the dead for burial. When the routine is broken, it's because things can go horribly wrong in an instant. That is how it happened in Libya in 2011, when 3 colleagues and I were taken captive by government soldiers and our driver was killed. On Wednesday, that sudden change of fortune came to 4 young Palestinian boys playing on a beach in Gaza. I had returned to my small seaside hotel around 4 p.m. to file photos to New York when I heard a loud explosion. My driver and I rushed to the window to see what happened. A small shack atop a sea wall at the fishing port had been struck by an Israeli bomb or missile and was burning. A young boy emerged from the smoke, running toward the adjacent beach. I grabbed my camera and was putting on body armor and a helmet when, about 30 seconds after the blast, there was another. The boy I had seen running was now dead, lying motionless in the sand, along with 3 other boys who had been playing there. By the time I reached the beach, I was winded from running with my heavy armor. I paused. It was too risky to go into the exposed sand. Imagine what my silhouette, captured by an Israeli drone, might look like as a grainy image on a laptop somewhere in Israel, wearing body armor and a helmet, carrying cameras that could be and have been mistaken for weapons. If children are being killed, what is there to protect me or anyone else? I watched as a group of people ran to the children's aid. I joined them, running with the feeling that I would find safety in numbers, though I understood that feeling could be deceptive. Crowds can make things worse. We arrived at the scene to find lifeless, mangled bodies. The boys, were beyond help. They had been killed instantly, and the people who had rushed to them were shocked and distraught. Earlier in the day, I had photographed the funeral for a man and a 12-year-old boy. They had been killed when a bomb hit the car in which they were riding south of Gaza City, severely injuring an older woman with them. There's no place safe in Gaza right now. Bombs can land at any time, anywhere. Well, this author gives a chilling account of boots on the ground in Israel. When we come back, Daniel Ferry wants to know, what can we do to help Gaza? An excellent question. Let's get into some solutions. Call in. Peace News Now.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up.
Hey, Daniel, if you're listening, just to get a quick answer to your question, what can we do to help in Gaza? I think it's one answer, and it's not like, oh, go, send them Band-Aids. That's something that can help immediately, right? It's not that. What I suggest is something a little more personal, and something that I truly believe has a wide-ranging effect. That is using Bitcoin. I know that might sound crazy to some people, but the war industrial complex runs on fiat empires, right? They run on fiat money. They can have control over the central banks in every country, and that is how they fund their massive war operations around the world. If a person opts out of their fiat empire by trading in anything else, it doesn't have to be Bitcoin, silver or gold or Dogecoin, whatever you like. When you take your money out of the military-industrial complex, you withdraw your support. When you take your money away, you withdraw your support. And so I know it seems like a roundabout way to help Gaza, but I truly believe the most effective way you can achieve peace in your lifetime is to withdraw your support of the military-industrial complex that thrives off of fiat dollars. So that's my answer.
Control, then we will be categorized as out of control. FreedomsPhoenix.com will launch the next phase of the Levolution by the end of the summer of 2014. And if you have to tell your neighbors about it, then we did it wrong.
Did you know that you can listen to LRN.FM 24/7 via our free-to-air satellite channel? From Mexico to Canada, our signal covers nearly all of North America. All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sac.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage map and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm. On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Badavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Well, children 4 feet tall, dressed in summer clothes, running from an explosion don't fit the description of Hamas, but that won't stop them from being blown up by the Israeli defense forces, in air quotes. Another article this time from Gawker. Why did NBC yank a Gaza reporter who saw children killed on the beach? Media attention in Gaza yesterday focused on a sudden Israeli artillery strike that killed 4 children as they played on the beach, as I just read to you, in front of numerous journalists. One of those reporters, NBC's Ayman Moyelden, documented the aftermath in stark detail. Today, NBC pulled him out of Gaza. And this article was written Thursday. Moyelden's quick hook and replacement has raised questions about NBC's motivations, according to an inside report by Glenn Greenwald at The Intercept. Moyelden has been told, this is a quote, Moyelden has been told by NBC executives to leave Gaza immediately, according to an NBC source upset at his treatment. The executives claimed the decision was motivated by security concerns as Israel prepares a ground invasion, a claim repeated to me by an NBC executive. But late yesterday, NBC sent another correspondent, Richard Engel, along with an American producer who's never been to Gaza and speaks no Arabic, into Gaza to cover the ongoing Israeli assault. So they replaced they replaced Moyelden, this guy who speaks Arabic, with Richard Engel, along with an American producer who's never been to Gaza and speaks no Arabic. So the producer, what do you think what story is he going to be telling? If he doesn't speak Arabic, which is the language native to Palestine, what is he going to be reporting about? Whatever Israel says, right? Whoever speaks English is the story he's going to get. So the Intercept's account is light on speculation about why Moyelden was replaced, though Greenwald does say that neocon and pro-Israel websites have repeatedly attacked Moyelden as a Hamas spokesman and spouting pro-Hamas rants. It's possible that the intensification of violence has raised Gaza's profile, and NBC wanted Engel, its version of a stud who, like Moyelden, speaks fluent Arabic, to be the face of the network's coverage for whatever reason. It's also possible that executives did have sincere concerns for Moyelden's safety, particularly after yesterday's events. On MSNBC with Chris Hayes yesterday, he recalled playing soccer and joking with the boys just moments before they were killed by the 2 targeted explosions on the beach. Quote, "We stopped. I just joked around with them a little bit. We kicked a ball around for maybe a few minutes and then walked on." Minutes later, the children were dead in a cloud of smoke. Israel's ground invasion of the Gaza Strip is indeed happening, as reported by New York Magazine and many others. Journalists have been evacuated by the Israeli Defense Force, and I have to stop calling them that. The Israeli Army is really what they are. They're aggressive, not just defensive. And you can see tweets from journalists who were ordered to evacuate their hotels, given orders from the Israeli Army. And this is a report that we're never going to... I mean, this could be repeated, this level of transparency, all of these pictures of, look, the press being evacuated out, all in live tweets. We have more information about what's going on in this war than ever before. We have a comment from Oh Baby 1 who writes, "Hi, let's see. It says, "Hi, 1948, they all did a big mistake because they gave the Jews the land and didn't care what happens to Palestine. The people over there are very poor. If the mothers could feed their kids, they wouldn't need Hamas." Interesting commentary from Oh Baby. And Daniel Ferry asks, "Why does it have to be kids?" A great question as well. I wanted the same thing myself. Attacking children is not a smart move if you want to win the support of foreigners like people in the U.S. But then again, with the controlled media, it's unlikely anyone who would normally be against killing children will even hear that has happened. So it's my job as alternative media to report these things that you probably wouldn't hear anywhere else. If you support peace, we talked a little bit before going to the break with Daniel Ferry's question, how do we support Gaza? Well, one way I believe you can support Gaza is through an indirect route of supporting yourself, your own freedom, promoting freedom at home. That has a way of spreading around the country, and also withdrawing your support of the military-industrial complex worldwide. It can all be done by trading in an alternative currency like Bitcoin. It's no secret to those of us who love peace that those who love war use dollars. Politicians, militaries, governments around the world, they purchase their weapons with dollars. Their dollar is sometimes even used as a weapon because they have control over the printing presses. And they will use an invisible tax of printing more money behind closed doors in order to fund the wars that they want. This has the effect of making everyone who has dollars saved in their savings accounts a little bit poorer by reducing their purchasing power. Instead of allowing this to continue, what free people and peace-minded people ought to be doing is withdrawing their support from the US dollar and all violent currencies backed by warring governments. It is possible in 2014 to opt out of using the dollar. I do it every day by trading in Bitcoin, an alternative currency that I find useful. But you can use your own, gold, silver, whatever you like. So long as you're not using the dollar, you are directing your energies, your efforts on this planet towards more peaceful alternatives. So that is my solution. That is my proposed solution. It's easy to do, and once you try it, it has a contagious effect. I think other people around you will want to do that as well. And when the governments don't have dollars, when people aren't using dollars, they can't commit endless wars. Speaking of Bitcoin and what's been going on in the world of Bitcoin, Eric Voorhees wrote an amazing response to a proposal by a man named Benjamin Lawsky. And this was a big deal this week as this regulator went to Reddit to propose his legislation regulating Bitcoin. And some people were afraid that this is going to have the effect of killing Bitcoin completely. I don't believe this is going to happen, but I will read to you the Reddit interaction with over 2,000 comments by people, most of them not supportive of this regulation, saying, "You can't make us." Seasoned Bitcoin users, what do you think? Will this change how you use Bitcoin?
Have you ever wanted to help a hard-working person get their business off the ground? Then join me in enjoying some BuzzBox coffee. Let's make a difference, one cup at a time. Join us in helping people buy their own coffee farms through at least 100 microloans via World Vision. Free Talk Live coffee drinkers will truly change lives forever. To get the best coffee you've ever tasted, it's organic, shade-grown, and top 1% Arabica grade. Go to coffee.freetalklive.com. The first pound's free, just cover shipping.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This is the Central Scrutinizer. I steal your labor by force through taxation.
My job is to spy on you and keep you from hearing things like the Freedom Fiends. I especially
do not want you to torrent Freedom Fiends episodes to keep them drone-proof. Do not go to freedomfiends.com and click on the torrent link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com
and click on the torrent
link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com
and click on the torrent
link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to their rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this.
No, I have work today. This is
you ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Hi, Reddit. This is Ben Losky, Superintendent of Financial Services at the New York State Department of Financial Services, or DFS. As some of you may remember, I stopped by Reddit for an AMA, or Ask Me Anything, in February, while DFS was in the process of developing a regulatory framework for virtual currencies. Today, DFS is announcing that we're publishing that proposed framework for public comment. A copy is available here on the DFS website. The regulation will be formally published on July 23rd in the edition of the New York State Register, which starts a 45-day public comment period. After that public comment period, the rules are subject to additional review and revision based on that public feedback before DFS finalizes them. For information on how to submit a formal comment for DFS consideration under the New York State Administrative Procedures Act, after the proposed regulations are published, please visit the New York State Register's website. In developing this regulatory framework, we have sought to strike an appropriate balance that protects consumers and root out illegal activity without stifling beneficial innovation. These regulations include provisions to help safeguard customer assets, protect against cyber hacking, and prevent the abuse of virtual currencies for illegal activity, such as money laundering. We recognize that not everyone in the virtual currency community will be pleased about the prospect of a new regulatory framework. Ultimately, though, we believe that setting up common sense rules of the road is vital to the long-term future of the virtual currency industry, as well as the safety and soundness of customer assets. We think the situation at Mt. Gox, for example, made that very clear. Moreover, given that states have specific regulatory responsibilities in this area, we also have a legal obligation to move forward on this framework. By the same token, we also recognize that, like any part of the financial industry, no regulatory framework can ever completely eliminate the risks customers face when dealing with financial firms. As such, we've included a strong set of customer disclosures to help make sure customers have the information they need to make the choices that are best for them. While this is not a formal AMA, or Ask Me Anything, I'll try to stop by this thread and chime in from time to time during the course of the public comment period. However, to be clear, if you wish to submit a formal comment under our state regulatory process, you will have to visit the New York State Register. As the first state to put forward specially tailored rules for virtual currency firms, continued public feedback will be an important part of finalizing this regulatory framework. We look forward to carefully and thoughtfully reviewing public comments on our proposal. So here they are. I'll do a screen share with you. This is what the first ever Bitcoin regulator is asking for. Entities are considered dealing in virtual currencies if, now this is not law, by the way, this, just to be clear, this is not law, this is proposed law. And I'm trying to get the text to be as big as possible here. Okay, so according to Ben Losky, entities are considered dealing in virtual currencies if they transfer bitcoins on behalf of one person. This includes Bitcoin tipping, like the change tip on Reddit, mixers, blockchain.info send shares, CoinJoin, and Dark Wallet. Entities are considered dealing in virtual currencies if they hold or have control over bitcoins for their users. This includes mining pools, Coinbase, Circle, greenaddress.it, and all exchanges. Entities are considered dealing in virtual currencies if they buy or sell bitcoins as a business activity. This includes local Bitcoin sellers, Bitcoin OTC or over-the-counter, and FinCEN statements include selling physical coinage like cassatious coins are also regulated. Entities are considered dealing in virtual currencies if they create a virtual currency, even if it is decentralized. This includes creating altcoins. In fact, Satoshi would have committed a crime creating Bitcoin without registration. Entities are considered dealing in virtual currencies if they trade in any virtual currency, even for another virtual currency. This includes altcoin exchanges, MintPal, Cryptsy, Beater, etc. So, to any resident of New York, web services, even in those incorporated overseas, you must either comply or block access for New York users. Now, entities dealing in virtual currencies must perform AML and collect identities, including verification of government-issued photo ID and proof of address, and retain this information for 10 years. They must retain all transaction logs for 10 years, including real name and physical addresses of all parties of a transaction. Yes, including whoever you are sending to. They must report all transactions over the US dollar value of $3,000 and file suspicious activity reports. They must maintain collateral in the form of US dollars, including collateral for Bitcoin balances. The percent as collateral is unspecified. They must retain earnings and profits of invested in US dollars. They may not keep any profit in Bitcoin. They must forfeit Bitcoins that are inactive for over 5 years to the state of New York. They must not obfuscate any transaction, meaning Bitcoin mixing would be illegal. Top comment on this article: Ben Lawsky just killed New York as the Center for Financial Crypto Innovation. Hopefully, London, UK, Dubai, Hong Kong, and other financial centers won't make the same mistake. He lists which he believes is the most absurd rule, which can be found at 200-2N.5, listed. That is, they must that anyone who creates a virtual currency is considered dealing in virtual currencies, even if it's decentralized, so creating altcoins, in fact, making Satoshi a criminal. Altcoins are just open source code. The creators have no way of knowing if New York residents are using their code. So this is a situation of a regulator looking at a new technology, saying, no, that's not allowed. You're going to have to fit into my worldview. I understand dollars and control and identities. And you're telling me there's a system where you can trade millions of dollars in a second to another human being anywhere on planet Earth, and you don't need their identity? You don't need to use central banks? Whoa! This is a real threat to the establishment, isn't it? If this tells us anything, as peaceful, freedom-loving people, it's to use Bitcoin more. Do not comply with these outrageous demands. Are we free people or are we slaves? You tell me. If you comply with these regulations because some guy said so, you are a slave. Let that sink in. Some guy who you've never met before, who you wouldn't consider an authority on anything, being a perfect stranger, You're going to follow this guy's orders. You're going to say, all right, Mr. Government Man, I'll collect all the identities from all the Bitcoin users in New York. No. You know what would be easier? If all these businesses who want to comply and they want to survive say, New York, not doing it. Not doing New York. You live in New York? Sorry, you don't get to use Bitcoin on our exchange. That should be the standard. BitPay has the ability to set the standard. Coinbase, I'm talking to you. Drop your New York customers. That would be the statement to make. Of course, they'll still be able to use your services. Of course they will. Of course, they'll still use Bitcoin. Not stopping them from using Bitcoin. You're making a statement to the regulators. No, we will not comply.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's key New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial ever since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
More Peace News Now is coming up next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Friday, July 18th, 2014. Gold opened today at $1,311, silver opened at $21, and Bitcoin is trading at $622.90. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from Bitmain Technology, creators of the Antminer S1 180 gigahash Bitcoin miner. No pre-order, ships on time, and sometimes it's early. Buy yours today, bitmaintech.com, or call them up at 844-BITMAIN. That's 844-248-6246. Support for the Liberty Beat also comes from Affordable Sound, CD and DVD duplication, along with posters and promotions materials. Mention promo code LIBERTY, and when you order 10 or more posters, you get 10 free. Online, affordablesound.com, or call them up at 512-459-5253. In the news, on Thursday, a Malaysian airliner crashed in East Ukraine after separatists reportedly shot it down with weaponry supplied by Moscow. Flight MH17 was confirmed to enter Russian airspace when contact was lost. Shortly thereafter, residents on the ground took video of what's believed to be black smoke rising from the site of the crash, which claimed the lives of 295 victims, including 23 Americans. Both the government and pro-Russian separatists deny responsibility for shooting the plane down, which had departed from Amsterdam and was set to arrive at Kuala Lumpur International Airport Friday. The United States military intends to transfer 6 low-level Guantanamo Bay prisoners to Uruguay, possibly by next month. That report from the New York Times. The detainees, who have reportedly been approved for transfer for over 4 years, would be the largest group to depart from the prison since 2009, reducing the inmate population to 143. Although previously kept secret, U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel gave Congress a 30-day notice of the plan. One of the detainees set to be transferred, a Syrian man, is responsible for bringing a lawsuit against the Pentagon for the military's procedures on forcibly feeding prisoners during a hunger strike. The Electronic Freedom Foundation, the American Civil Liberties Union, and the American Civil Liberties Union of Idaho will be joining the legal team of an Idaho mom who has tried to challenge the National Security Agency's bulk data collection in court. Anna Smith previously had her case dismissed by U.S. District Judge Lynn Windmill. But with the help of the ACLU and EFF, she is now appealing to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The case is set to begin on September 2nd of this year. Support for Liberty Beat comes from Accountable Authority, now offering a public database of police abuse and misconduct. Take action and join for free to gain community support and protection. Online at accountableauthority.com. This is the Liberty Beat for July 18, 2014. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. On Wednesday, a group of bipartisan lawmakers challenged President Obama's request for nearly $60 billion to be put towards emergency funds for conflicts in Afghanistan, Syria, Ukraine, and beyond. Representative Walter Jones, a North Carolina Republican, said he opposed providing Afghanistan with billions more after U.S. aid failed to end corruption in the war-torn country. Jones emphasized the frustration Americans are feeling over funding endless wars they cannot afford or support. Lawmakers also questioned why the Obama administration is seeking almost $1 billion for a European reassurance initiative in response to Russian aggression in Ukraine. A father and his teenage son have trekked more than 3,000 miles across the country on foot to help raise awareness about genetically modified foods and the push for GMO labeling. The duo was stopped along the way, meeting with people, handing out seed packets, and asking folks what they know about GMOs. The journey began in California in January and continued through the southwestern states over the winter, eventually reaching the Midwest in the spring. Traveling about 20 miles a day, the pair expects to reach their destination in Ocean City this week. A new study published in the Journal of the American Medical Directors Association found that green spaces help residents at care home facilities reduce agitation and increase relaxation for patients with dementia. Researchers studied 17 different pieces of research and found that gardens offer multiple benefits, including providing a space for visitor interaction and stimulating memories. Lead researcher Rebecca Weir said there is a growing interest in treating dementia without the use of drugs. Support for Liberty Beat comes from My Magic Mud, all natural teeth whitener. Go to mymagicmud.com to hear a short interview with Dr. Griffin Cole. That's mymagicmud.com. And support comes from Brave New Books online at bravenewbookstore.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, July 18, 2014. I'm Brian Hagan reporting, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
We have a breaking news blast on the tragic situation happening across the country in which more than 40,000 Americans have been trapped in a confessions animal hoarding marathon on Animal Planet for the last 13 hours. The Animal Hoarders Marathon began at 9 this morning as victims were preparing for a full day before hearing the fateful sound of the show's opening credits. Almost instantly, thousands were pinned to their couches by a story of a heavy-set homosexual living with his partner, his toothless sister, and 31 chihuahuas. Rescue workers rushed to free as many victims as they could.
The rope secure? Rope secure. We're going to get you out of here. Just hold on a second, ma'am.
Wait, I think the next one is about monkeys.
Ready? Ready. Pull!
No, wait. Can I just see what happens with the feral cat?
In other parts of the country, rescue workers enlisted volunteers who had already seen the episodes to spoil them for the victims.
Oh, yeah, this one. This is about the lady living with the dogs in the trailer. She doesn't even get evicted in the end.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back to Peace News Now. We are live this Sunday, July 20th, 2014. It is 6 p.m. here on the East Coast, where we are broadcasting from Keene in the Shire. And, well, we have a call-in line. It is Hi-Fi CIV-DIS. You can call into the show, talk about whatever sort of peaceful resistance you want. We started out the show talking about what's happening in the Middle East. We've talked about ways to promote peace that might be counterintuitive to some, using alternative currencies. And then the regulators in New York are cracking down on the freedoms that Bitcoiners have enjoyed so far and those who use other cryptocurrencies. Now, taking a change of gears, we go to Detroit, where blog.vigilantvote.com at vigilantvote.com, where the headline reads, "Crime Drop in Detroit Due to Armed Citizens." This, a new report from the Chief of Police in Detroit. We all know, what do you know about Detroit? Crime is bad. Well, there's a drop in crime. The police chief blames armed citizens. Reading from the article, a tiny microcosm of what can happen when people take personal protection into their own hands and have the backing of police is playing out in Detroit, where crime has steeply fallen this year after the chief of police urged citizens to arm themselves and fight back against criminals. Don't depend on the police department to save you at every instance in a place where crime is bad. You need to be able to protect yourself. The police are probably going to be busy handling some other mission. Now, the article continues, but a necessary part of this is that honest citizens are not being pursued by law enforcement for protecting themselves when in danger. This means instead of trying to balance the fear for one's safety with the fear of prosecution, citizens can focus on protecting their life and property. And criminals apparently seem to be getting the message. Quote, Detroit has experienced 37% fewer robberies in 2014 than during the same period last year, 22% fewer break-ins of businesses and homes, and 30% fewer carjackings. Craig attributed the drop to better police work and criminals being reluctant to prey on citizens who might be carrying guns. Criminals are getting the message that good Detroiters are armed and will use that weapon, said Chief of Police Craig, who repeatedly has said he believes armed citizens deter crime. Quote, I don't want to take away from the good work our investigators are doing, but I think that part of the drop in crime, and robberies in particular, is because criminals are thinking twice that citizens could be armed. Police solving crimes is a deterrent, but a crime can be thwarted by an intended victim shooting the perpetrator during the crime. This in turn serves as a deterrent to others who see what they could end up dead if they victimize any random citizen. In this way, armed citizens make everyone in Detroit safer, not just because they could be on scene when a crime happens, but because the criminal doesn't know who is packing heat and who is helpless. Quote, Detroit resident Al Woods, a self-described former criminal who is now an anti-violence advocate and author, agreed. Criminals are thinking twice about attacking citizens. Quote, if I was out there now robbing people these days, knowing that there's a lot more people with guns, I know I'd have to rethink my game plan, said Woods, aged 60. It is rare to have a police chief like Craig encourage citizens to take their safety into their own hands, especially in an urban setting. There's no better solution to crime in Detroit right now, especially with the dire economic state that it's in. Kudos to this police chief, writes author Joe Jarvis. The results, and the armed citizens who don't outsource their protection to a third party. Yes, kudos to those citizens. It's important that people have the ability to defend themselves. I myself am going through a similar issue, and here one commenter in the Q&A has commented, that is good, everyone should be armed in big crime cities. I agree. It deters crime. And not just in big crime cities, but anywhere. Anywhere a crime can happen. And I myself have been looking to receive a concealed carry license from the state of New Hampshire. It's a little permission slip that is granted by the chiefs of police in towns in New Hampshire and by government people. I was denied my concealed carry license, so I am not allowed. I can still own and wear a gun. In New Hampshire, you can open carry, which is another deterrent to crime, the open display of a weapon. But I am no longer allowed, or I was never allowed to put that loaded gun that's on my hip into my pocket. That's a crime. I need to ask the government's permission to do that first, and I was denied. I believe, unconstitutionally, I believe that my rights were violated in that denial, and so I am taking the chief of police to court over this issue in Keene, New Hampshire. If you haven't yet heard about this, all the details are at gofundme.com/gunrights. Because as a peace activist, I want to reduce crime. I want to reduce the instances of violence in this world. And the facts bear out that when people are armed, when you look at statistics in a community where people are more armed, there is less crime. And you look in a community where people are disarmed, like New York City, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., these are places known for more crime. One man in Keene is being charged with a violation of probation for the alleged crime of possessing a weapon. This very topic. Weapons make communities safer when they're held in the hands of peaceful people. And that man is a peace activist, Rich Paul, who sits in studio and joins us live here on Peace News Now. Good to be with you, Rich.
Good to be here.
You can put those on. While Rich is getting his headphones on, I'm going to get him a microphone so he's all suited up. And Rich, you've got a trial on the 24th of this week. It's Thursday. Here, why don't we switch mics? This will be easier.
Groovy.
Talking to this part.
Oh, okay.
All right. So you've got a trial coming up, and well, how's that going to go? What are you expecting?
I'm going to beat him like a redheaded stepchild.
And you mean metaphorically, of course.
Of course. I'm a peaceful person, although they have initiated force against me, so I would be within my rights. Going to war with the government is probably a bad plan right now. We don't have a large enough army.
Yeah, that's not the kind of thing that you're talking about doing. But so what are you expecting, and what why is this important?
Well, it's important. I mean, okay, here's the situation. We were out on the square. People were chalking on the square, and 4 men came across. They attacked one of the bloggers, and I picked up a monopod and stepped in between and helped drive them off. And for that, interestingly enough, I was the only person arrested. They didn't bother to actually arrest the aggressors, and I believe we're going to have the video coming up. So I think it's pretty clear when you watch the video who the aggressors are.
We have the video. We'll be watching it when Peace News Now returns.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
A meme is not easy to define.
What is it?
But you know it when you see it.
Amazing.
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com proves that.
I feel so enlightened.
Don't Tread on Meme, M-E-M-E, helping you give the finger to our monetary system of deception by providing you with silver dime trading cards. Unlike today's dollar, they have value. And they look neat too.
Oh, would you look at those? Aren't those just swell?
Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. While you're browsing their numerous silver dime card designs, take time to download the easy-to-use Silver Calculator app. This simple piece of technology lets you know instantly, whether using iPhone or Android, just how much your silver coin is worth. Find out all the details at Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. Now accepting Bitcoin. Don't Tread on Meme. Your path to a voluntary society with honest money. Don'tTreadOnMeme.com. Serving you faster than the Fed prints money.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm.
On LRN.FM, we talk a lot about alternative currencies. Did you know that now you can buy gold, silver, and other precious metals with Bitcoins? LRN.FM has partnered with Amaji Metals to bring you great prices on beautiful .999 fine silver, as well as gold, platinum, and other metals. Check out their selection and pay with Bitcoins or Federal Reserve notes at metal.lrn.fm. That's metal.lrn.fm.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets. Free Talk Live.
It's if I'm watching not a cable, just regular news, and they give me the news, and the next flash is 2 people fornicating, okay? And then every other word is F-U, a B-I-C, a hoe, and all this stuff, and penis. Do you think I need to say that? That's not acceptable no matter what. You're saying free airways. For anything goes for anybody.
For public access, yes. That's
well,
exactly its purpose. That's the purpose of it.
Why not?
Do you want a red light in front of a cop?
Probably not in front of a cop because he'd hurt
What's
me.
the same difference if you're going to have that kind of FU and seeing 2 people fornicating after they just said the weather is 92 degrees and 5 inches?
Wait, I think you're a little confused about something.
No, I'm not confused.
Point of information.
You're trying to confuse people.
Let's clarify
free airways are free within limits.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Peace News Now. In this segment, we will be watching the actual video that was taken of Rich's alleged violation of probation. This is what's going to be showing at trial on Thursday, and this is a video that you said you yourself would have demanded that the prosecution show, right?
Yeah, I mean, my attorney was telling me how we could keep it out in court, and my response was, no, I want this shown. I want it seen that I did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I agree. And that you're also wearing your 420 Foundation shirt that hopefully, you know, we've seen lots of pictures of you in that. It's sort of iconic, so I like that you're wearing that. So let's start the video and give commentary at any opportunity, any time you like. And just set this up for us. Where are we? What are we going to be about to see?
We're on Central Square, and we're about to see a guy filming some chalking that's been done on the sidewalk, and
okay, so
then hilarity ensues.
That's the scene. Let's begin. Okay, so here we're seeing chalk messages.
Yeah, now this was
Smiley
all done
face.
actually by a couple of local homeless guys. They're not free staters or anything. They just wanted to go out and chalk.
Who's that?
We call him Boston Strong. He's a neighbor who was out there cleaning chalk off, and he decided to go home. He was threatening before we arrived, but not so, before the last couple of us arrived, but not so much after we showed up. Okay. Now that guy yelling is also not appreciated.
Conversation, you're going to run away from me. You just jaywalk. Bye-bye, Mr. Boston. Don't forget to
That's you.
That's me.
Don't worry.
Okay, and you're holding a video camera.
From here on out, I promise.
And I've also got the monopod tucked up.
Oh, not again.
So the other guy talking, he's doing most of the talking. All you've said so far is, bye-bye, Mr. Boston. Oh, wait.
I have one. It's talking this
So now he screams out, now that he's at a safe distance. Oh. He shouts.
Off the road.
He shouts when he's at Pedraza's. That's where he feels safe enough to scream, get a job, become a productive member of society, presumably like him.
I hate it when I'm Robin Hooding because they scream that at me sometimes when I'm at work, and that's irritating.
Yeah, get a job while you're working.
It's, yeah.
You don't need to bring your ass over. I got somebody that'll fuck.
So now what's happeing?
Okay, now this is a new guy. This is Terry.
That's not a nice thing to say.
I got somebody that'll tear that ass up because you got mouth on you.
I interpret that as a threat to have a rape.
You don't even look good doing it.
The woman there is one of the chalkers. She's with us.
And who is this man? Have you seen him before?
He works at Pedraza's for Dario Mira, or at least he did.
So that seems like some kind of violent threat.
Yeah, he's
heard. And here he's saying, you can videotape all you want, and now I'm going to take it. He's using a lot of profanities. I haven't heard anyone in the square using profanities.
This isn't our best activism. We were grumpy, and you really shouldn't get grumpy when you're doing activism. We were sorely.
What was going through your head at this point? Were you afraid?
I didn't even know most of this was going on. I was over there trying to tape Boston Strong.
I don't have enough money to afford your services.
Oh, so now he's taking the backpack off, and it looks like he's got some supporters behind him. He's walking across the middle of the street also. It's very unsafe. And this guy's rolling up his sleeves.
Yeah, he's getting ready to fight. Now, this other guy snuck up from behind and attacked.
So is that an attack that we just saw on camera?
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, Screw's already been hit once, and he got hit again by the bartender. Oh, there's me. Now I've got the monopod, and I'm using it in a different manner.
Here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Yank on the right.
And it looks like a girl is trying to push her boyfriend away.
Yeah, the girls are trying to drag him off.
Wow. Okay, so a whole gang of people just moved over to the square and then retracted.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
four attackers.
They came over, attacked, and left.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Now, at this point, should we fast forward the video to the end? Is that what, has all the important parts been shown?
Yeah, that's the whole conflict. Now people are just bitching about it, and they'll keep bitching for a while.
Okay, now jumping to the end of the video, this is the final minute. And this full video was played in its entirety in court.
Okay, we want to go a little bit before that.
So this video was shown in court.
And there's several of them gathered across the street, so we can definitely use some backup out here.
You hear me calling for more people.
Now, why is that?
Well, I mean, we were out there. It was a violent situation. We were outnumbered. And basically, I just wanted to see more people out there. And other than that, you know, some of the people out there were not seasoned peace activists, as you can tell from watching the beginning of the tape, and I kind of get sucked into that, and I shouldn't have said what I said to Boston Strong, but you know, it wasn't a big deal. But the other thing that I wanted,
the part you said, weren't you going to beat us up?
No, actually, what I said was, don't forget to park the car in Boston Yard.
Oh. Right.
Or
Yeah.
Havayad. That's what it is.
It was hard for me to distinguish the voices as well. I know that it was a dark video, and the prosecutors themselves were confused about who was speaking at certain times. They alleged that you said certain things that you hadn't said, and even the judge, he cleared that up after watching the video and said, like, yeah, those things weren't rich. Another thing.
Well, this judge knows my voice pretty well, unfortunately.
Yikes. Well, another thing that was important, because the prosecutor was like, we want to show the whole video. Your defense attorney was like, well, just show the 3 minutes that are relevant. But this is what ended the video that the prosecutor wanted to show. Listen to this.
That's Mariah.
Okay, Ruby, I don't have the
Now, she's singing Give Peace a Chance. It couldn't be clearer which side is promoting peace and which one is promoting violence. They come over from another area of the town, from across the street to the town common, rolling up their sleeves, acting like they want to fight, and then they back off, ending in a young girl singing Give Peace a Chance. I mean, it couldn't be clearer. There's peaceful people and violent people, yet you're the one who ends up behind bars.
Yeah, now the part that the prosecutor wanted there was my calling for backup, and he interpreted that as I was looking for people to come out there and riot. Well, what ended up showing up as backup was a bunch of guys with their girlfriends, and we were very chill once they showed up. We just wanted to be prepared if we were attacked, and,
have video cameras there. You want to have
video cameras.
You want to have peaceful people there to sort of set the mood, right? I mean, it's hard for a group of violent thugs to just come in and invade a group of people who just aren't going to give them what they want. They're not going to give them a fight. They're just going to sit there and be peaceful.
Yeah.
That's it's hard to fight that way. So we've got a fundraiser for you right now, Rich, that's active at GoFundMe.com/GoRichPaul. And people can donate. Unfortunately, the GoFundMe page has scrubbed all mentions of Bitcoin. So in order to get Bitcoin donations, you can find that on Rich's Facebook page. But as for now, I've explained the entire situation. I've got video links to the arrest, the alleged violation, and that explained. Peace News Now will return after this.
Before. Whether you owe $15,000 or $15 million in tax debt to the IRS or state, we can help. On a never-ending payment plan, penalties and interest killing you, missing tax returns, being garnished or levied, not a problem. If you qualify, we can remove levies and garnishments within days or even hours of hiring our firm. If you've been summoned, or even worse, receiving tax warrants in the mail, call right now. Are you a business owner with back payroll taxes? Is the IRS or state threatening to close your business you've worked so hard to build? Protect yourself and your business. Even if you've tried in the past, new guidelines could potentially qualify you today. So what are you waiting for? We can take that tax monkey off your back.
Call the Tax Monkey now. 800-281-6030. 800-281-6030. 800-281-6030. That's 800-281-6030.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
Free Press Publications is an independent alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary at fpp.cc, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is Peace News. We were just speaking with Rich Paul, a freedom activist here in Keene in the Shire. He's got a trial coming up this Thursday. You can support him at GoFundMe.com/GoRichPaul if you believe that free people, peaceful people, have an inherent right to hold monopods or not if they don't have a duty to retreat in the face of an attack. I myself believe that Rich has done nothing wrong. He hasn't hurt anybody. The people who attacked him are the criminals in this situation. They're the ones who should be punished for inciting violence, for using violence. Rich, you watched the video yourself. He didn't do a thing. Now, let's talk about people who are ruining lives and committing real crimes. This from the freethoughtproject.com. I have to say I am empathetic to victims of the war on drugs, people who find themselves incarcerated either for having a drink and doing so openly in a park or smoking a joint, or something as simple as being pulled over while slightly intoxicated. If you're driving safely, shouldn't be an issue. But this isn't what happened when a Texas appeals court judge named Nora Longoria was caught going just over the speed limit while traveling drunk in her Lexus late one evening. Drunk is arguable. We don't really know what her breathalyzer test said and whether or not she was still able to handle her vehicle. Speeding should not in itself be a crime. It hurts no one. Causing injury or harm or damage to someone, that is a crime. But let's get into this story from the freethoughtproject.com. When Nora Longoria was pulled over by police, she immediately flashed her badge and told them that she was a judge. She had plainly admitted to drinking at least 5 beers before getting behind the wheel, expecting that her badge would grant her extra rights, specifically the right to drive drunk. It's also important to point out that if she had said she had 5, then she probably actually had 12. For some reason, the police actually didn't give the judge the type of leniency that it seems most cases see. When the 49-year-old judge realized that she was going to be taken to jail, she began to cry and pled with the police for special treatment. Quote, "Please, let me go home. I live a couple of miles away. You're going to ruin my life. I worked hard for 25 years to be where I am today," she told the police, according to court documents. She was also nearly charged with resisting arrest because she would not allow police to put handcuffs on her, something else that she felt she was too good for. While it's sad to see anyone go through such an ordeal, it is very hard to have sympathy for someone who was responsible for putting countless others through this very same situation. If you or I were to sit in her courtroom with such pleas, she would surely pontificate and lecture about the uniformity of the law and her need to judge by the book. In fact, when campaigning for her position, one of her posters read, "Our 13th Court of Appeals covers 20 countries, yet we share common hopes and expectations for our legal system, and for the justices who must rule fairly and impartially on cases that affect our lives, our livelihood, and our future." So that impartial section is what she ran on. She ran on being impartial. One can only imagine how many times she sat emotionless as people stood in front of her court, telling her that their lives would be ruined if she ruled in favor of the state. Members of the political and legal establishment who claim that they are just doing their jobs when they take actions that ruin the lives of their neighbors are rarely as innocent and ignorant as they claim to be about the situation. Now, that's not to say that every state worker is an evil hypocrite. These people are human and have the ability to change their ways, but deep down, they know exactly what their actions are doing to the lives of the people that they encounter. Here's a picture of Miss Longoria. If Judge Longoria had no clue that she ruined the lives of drunk driving suspects, then she would never have known to say, "You are going to ruin my life." That's right. She knows exactly what's going to happen to her because she's done it to countless people. I don't like to see the cycle of violence continue. I don't want to see more people like Longoria locked away for victimless crimes. I hope that they're able to get the message from activists throwing themselves at the mercy of the court, explaining the immorality of victimless crimes prosecutions. But if they can't get it when we do it, they're going to have to learn the hard way when they're victimized by the same police state that they work for. Here's one. There used to be a time when men, we talk about this a lot on the show, topless equality. Long-time listeners know that I am for topless equality. At the very least, I mean, we should all be treated as equals, right? In certain ways, we are all equals. And, you know, that's not to ignore sexual dimorphism. I get it. There are differences between the sexes. But for the most part, we should be treated as equals. You know, if... Anyway, I think we all know what that means. But did you know that there was a time that men could get arrested for going topless on public beaches? It's true. Here is the article from neatorama.com, and this popped onto my radar because this is something we talk about a lot. In Europe, and this is an old article, men now bathe without tops on many public beaches. In Europe and on the West Coast, topless bathing for men has long been no novelty on public as well as private beaches. But in the more inhibited East, a male costume consisting solely of trunks was, until just recently, cause for arrest on almost all public beaches and raised eyebrows on many a private one. At Atlantic City, just 30 minutes from where I grew up, topless bathing suits are still forbidden. And this year has Long Island's ultra-democratic Long Beach allowed men to air their backs and chests. This trend, while originated on the French Riviera, is seriously distressed manufacturers. So it's, the article cuts off, you can't really see, but this is from Life magazine, July 18th, just 2 years ago, almost to the just 2 days ago, in 1938. In 1938, hairy chests are becoming public. Body bare, covered nose. Athletic type wears trunks smart. Scanty trunks are common, arrow. Like, trunks should be privately fixed. And, like, look at all these pictures of newspapers, no substitute for a top. Look at these guys wearing trunks. White elastic trunks are uncommon. Topless pair, go for a stroll. Would you talk about men at the beach as being topless? No, today we don't even see it as something different. It's not even weird. It's time for that to be true for women as well. Women need to have the ability to be topless and not have everyone freak out about it and have themselves arrested. This is Peace News Now.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit keenvention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. This year, Rich Paul is our first announced keynote speaker, and more are being announced now at keenvention.info. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this October 31st through November 2nd. You can pre-order your tickets now for just $60 at keenvention.info, or you can pay with Bitcoin. Visit keenvention.info for more information and to lock in your tickets at the pre-order $60 price for the whole weekend. Visit keenvention.info for more, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the realtor Mark Warden. Do you want a home with 20 acres, a lakeside cabin, any takers for renters, buyers, and sellers too? Mark Warden is the guy for you. PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates, no worries. You can listen to LRN.FM from any phone, anywhere. Add this number to your phone: 213-493-0309. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Liberty Radio Network listen lines are locked into our stream 24 hours a day. Call 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
The FAA has issued a reminder that any plane can crash and kill you. Deputy FAA Administrator Serena Grant.
This year, there will be more flights than ever. Any one of them could blow up in the middle of the sky without warning. That's why we're asking all Americans to tell their families that they love them before taking off.
The agency also released a list of important questions to ask yourself or your seatmate during your flight, including, should the wing be doing that? What is that whirring noise? And do all planes shake this much? They're reminding passengers that even the smallest amount of turbulence could mean you're headed toward a sudden explosive death. While hurtling through the sky at unimaginable speeds in a steel coffin can feel like gambling with your life, the FAA says there are ways to regain the illusion of control.
If you're worried about crashing, why not switch your flight at the last second? It might just save your life. Or kill you, depending on which plane crashes.
And for those who aren't flying this holiday, the FAA has reminded everyone that a plane could fall out of the sky right on top of you at any moment.
This is the Onion News Network.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
All right, we're almost out of time. This is the final segment, so make your calls quickly. The number is 443-424-8347. It spells out Hi-Fi CIV-DIS. As is typical with any show, most of the calls happen at the end. I did just miss a couple calls. Oh. No, I'm going to decline that one. Sorry. But I did just miss a couple of calls from another caller. I believe it was... anyway, well... We'll send your calls through if you make them now. We've got a couple of topics that I want to get through before the end of the episode. One about a man who is facing charges for beating up a man who raped his son. Yeah. Who's facing the charges? The man who beat up the rapist. Does that make any sense? Plus, all I'm hearing this week, aside from the Gaza nonsense and war, which is a tragedy, I'm hearing about all these child immigrants. Oh, send them all home. Send them packing. Well, I got news for you. Child migrants have been coming to America alone since Ellis Island. This from MotherJones.com. Here's a picture. This looks like an old picture. Oh, look. What is it? It's a bunch of child migrants, unaccompanied, who came through Ellis Island. Yep, if you live in America now, this could be your ancestor. An unaccompanied child migrant was the first person in line on opening day of the new immigration station at Ellis Island. Her name was Annie Moore, and that day, January 1st, 1892, happened to be her 15th birthday. She had traveled with her two brothers from Cork County, Ireland, her younger brothers. And when they walked off the gangplank, she was awarded a certificate and a $10 gold coin for being the first to register. Today, a statue of Annie stands on the island, a testament to the courage of millions of children who passed through those same doors, often traveling without an older family member to help them along. Of course, not everyone was lining up to give Annie and her fellow passengers a warm welcome. Alarmists painted immigrants, children included, as disease-ridden job stealers bent on destroying the American way of life. And they're still at it. On a CNN segment about the current crisis of child migrants from Central and South America, Michelle Bachmann used the word invaders and warned of rape and other dangers posed to Americans by the influx. And last week, National Review scoffed at appeals to American ideals of compassion and charity, claiming Ellis Island officials had a strict send them back policy when it came to children showing up alone. Here's another picture of a child immigrant. Colonel Helen Bastio posted bond for 13-year-old Belgian stowaway Osmond Lewis, February 1921. So this woman posted bond for that young boy who traveled across the sea all by himself. And the claim about Ellis Island officials having a strict send-them-back policy, it's not true, according to Barry Marino, a librarian at the Ellis Island Immigration Museum and author of the book Children of Ellis Island. The Immigration Act of 1907 did indeed declare that unaccompanied children under 16 were not permitted to enter in the normal fashion, but it didn't send them packing either. Instead, the act set up a system in which unaccompanied children, many of whom were orphans, were kept in detention awaiting a special inquiry with immigration inspectors to determine their fate. At these hearings, local missionaries, synagogues, immigrant aid societies, and private citizens would often step in and offer to take guardianship of the child. In Annie's case, her parents were waiting to receive her. They'd taken the same journey to New York 3 years before, looking for work. But according to Marino, thousands of unaccompanied children came over without friends or family on the other side of the crossing, many of them stowaways. Marino doesn't know of an official count of how many children were naturalized this way, but he says it was fairly common. He can point to at least one great success story, that of Henry Armetta, a 15-year-old stowaway from Palermo, Italy, who was sponsored by a local Italian man and went on to become an actor in films with Judy Garland and the Marx Brothers. He's one of the best known of the Ellis Island stowaways, Marino says. And here is a picture of 8 orphaned children whose mothers were killed in a Russian pogrom. They were brought to Ellis Island in 1908, just after the passing of that new law. Other children journeyed to Ellis Island alone because they had lost their parents, often to war or famine, and had been sponsored by immigrant aid societies and other charities in America. The picture above shows 8 Jewish children whose mothers had been killed in a Russian pogrom in 1905. The Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society had obtained bonds to sponsor their immigration, and they arrived at Ellis Island in 1908. As Marino notes in his book, thousands of orphans came over thanks to such bonds. After landing, many of them would travel on orphan trains to farms and small towns where their patrons had arranged their stay. Here's a young immigrant reading a Superman comic book, a German refugee and Superman devotee at the New York City Children's Colony, a school for refugee children run by Viennese immigrants. Ellis Island officials made several efforts to care for children detained on the island, those with parents and those without, who could be there for weeks at a time. Around 1900, a playground was constructed there with a sandbox, swings, and slides. A group of about a dozen women, known as matrons, played games and sang songs with the children, many of whom they couldn't easily communicate with due to language barriers. Later, a schoolroom was created for them, and the Red Cross supplied a radio for the children to listen to. And of course, many of those kids grew up to work tough jobs, start new businesses, and create new jobs, and pass significant amounts of wealth down to some of the very folks clamoring to send them back today. Here's a statue of Annie Moore and her brothers in Cobb, Ireland. And there's another statue of Moore at Ellis Island. But here they are, just beginning their journey. Annie, the first of many children to make the journey across to the States. Can we open our hearts and find compassion for these children today? I hope so. I don't see any borders on this earth. I don't see in this map behind me lines that have been driven or drawn by our Creator or anyone else. If governments want to claim that they have ownership of all of this land, well, I'd like to see them either legitimately pay for it or homestead it. But that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing them take with guns, make threats of force They're not offering compensation. Let's remember that this land was not justly acquired. I think everyone who's taken a U.S. history course knows that. And it's not just the U.S. that has an illegitimate claim to the land. It's all governments. I'd like to conclude with a story about a young man who was badly beaten, and this was controversial. I was not sure if I wanted to share this on a show called Peace News, but I decided to do it anyway, because I believe self-defense, something we need to talk about on this show. Where is the line? Well, the father of an 11-year-old boy beat up his racist into a bloody pulp Friday morning when he walked in on him sexually assaulting his son. Reports say that the young boy was friends with his 18-year-old attacker and had him over his home to play video games with friends. When his father stepped out for a few moments, William Frolander is alleged to have led the young boy into a back room to sexually assault him. Not long after the boy's father returned home and walked in on his son being abused, at which point he beat Frolander into a pulp. Quote, "I didn't proceed to ask him any questions, sir," the father said. "He is nice and knocked out on the floor for you. I drug him out into the living room," the boy's father told a 911 dispatcher. "I did whatever I got a right to do, except I didn't kill him. You're damn lucky, boy, that I love my God." Well, unfortunately, we don't have much time to talk about this, but what do you think? We'll continue this discussion on Tuesday. Peace News Now.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement